Hi there guys, Vino here, and I think it's time for a cuppa. Literally just come out the kettle, so to speak. So it's rather warm, so I'm gonna drink it a little bit slowly. But yes, I've actually been a while since I've actually had done a time for a cuppa, and B actually had a cuppa. I think the last time I had a cuppa was like a week ago or so, when I was last working from home from work. Anyway, a good cup of tea. This is. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you are doing really well. You can see I was watching some YouTube. What's his name? Wag Entertainment. He buys some weird airsoft guns and tries them out. So I like watching his YouTube channel from time to time. There's actually a YouTube channel called Kent Survival I've really gotten into recently. Really been enjoying his content. So I thought I'd do a little TFAC here, just to talk about a few things, just to talk about what's been going on. Looking to next month. It's my birthday next month, and there's some exciting things happening next month. The first thing that's very much set in stone is a few months ago I messaged a Facebook marketplace seller with a bunch of board games, basically. So I was getting a little bit bored of video gaming, basically. I wanted to do something that's similar or adjacent but not video gaming, or had the same mechanics, so to speak. So I was looking at, there are single player board games out there, and a lot of video games have board game equivalents. Now, Horizon Zero Dawn has, Bloodborne has, Dark Souls has, what other games have board game equivalents? Civilization has always had a board game equivalent. It's not a single player, but there is a board game equivalent of it. Carcassonne or Carcassonne, however you pronounce that, used to be a board game, then became a video game, and now the latest board game was actually based upon the video game, because the video game changed the mechanics because it had to make it more of a video game. So that's an interesting transition there between those things. There's so many board games out there now, and it's kind of interesting, kind of cool in some ways. You can now have single player board games. There's a bunch of single player card games, and a lot of those are based upon video games as well. So load of stuff. And I messaged this guy on Facebook Marketplace because I'm getting a payout, a back pay, I should say, at the end of the month from my employer. So I was looking for something else to do with that money, something a bit more interesting to do with that money, so to speak. And he had a bunch of board games. I then said, would you be willing to hold on to them for a couple of months? I didn't actually say that. I said, you holding on to them for a couple of months would be a big ask. And he also said, yes, it would be a big ask. He then said, without some kind of security or backup. I said, what security backup would you want? He then said 10% of the overall value as a deposit, and then you can pay the rest when you want to come and get them. I was like, okay, all right. Originally, he had £600 worth of board games, £700 worth. He was going to sell me for 600. And between me saying I want them, and then 3 days later when payday was going to be, when I could pay the deposit, so to speak, some people got interested in some of the other set of board games in the lot, and he said, are you still interested? And I said, yes. What games are people asking for? He told me, and I said, tell you what, sell those 3 to whoever wants them, and I'll take the rest. To be honest, there's already a bunch of board games there. They're going to take me a while to get through, so sell those 3 to whoever wants them, and then the rest will be mine. So he did that. He then brought the price down to what it was, £5.10. He took £60 or £70 off, which is very nice of him, actually, for doing a bulk deal. Took it down to like £4.50, £4.60ish. I paid £45 deposit, bring it down to just about £400 or £405, whatever it is at the moment, and I'll be paying the rest of that at the end of this month, and then going to get all of those box sets. Did a bit of a trip to go and get them, but could be enjoyable. Probably book some time off work to go and do that. yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I've been actually messaging back and forth from the seller. I actually messaged him with the initial messaging. I was messaging him, and then we messaged a little bit more afterwards. And he actually messaged me at the beginning of this month, going, "How you doing? You still interested?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And I actually messaged him saying, "I half expected you to block me because of our bid in the past." Blocked me. He said, "No, he's just really happy that the board games are actually going to someone who he can tell is going to appreciate them." So I'm really looking forward to those, and they'll feature on my channel, obviously in a very big way, because there's a lot of content to go through. Bard Song is in there and its expansion. There's Bloodborne with 3 or 4 expansions in there. Everrain, which is like a eldritch sailing game that's really dour and, you know, what's the word, dour and depressive, but it's a really interesting world. What else is in there? There's a game called Destinies, which uses an app, which is really interesting and weird, but, you know, kind of revolutionary in some ways. We're trying to think what other games are in the zombie side is in there. Looking forward to that one. Is it Fate of the Stars, I think it's called, is in there. Fate of the Stars and Everrain are both games by a person called, is it Adam or Alan Smith? Adam Smith, I think. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that's really, really interesting. And I have been getting into another YouTube channel called Ready Steady Play over the last 2 months, and they featured a lot of the board games I'm going to be getting. I've watched a couple of playthroughs of Bard Sung. I've watched a couple of playthroughs of Everrain. I've started watching some playthroughs of Bloodborne. The only problem with Bloodborne is it was kickstarted. So when it was kickstarted, during the Kickstarter campaign, some previews were sent out to backers, and then backers fed back to the developers of the board game that the rules are really ambiguous and really weird to understand. So there's a big old FAQ online that you can go on to. If you ever get an ambiguous rule, you can look up the FAQ, and it basically shows you how to correct the FAQ. On that note, there's actually a secret Everrain Facebook group you can also join, and they are also compiling a list of the ambiguous rules when it comes to Everrain, and they're trying to fix those rules as well. If you do have Everrain or interest in Everrain, because Everrain's another thing that it's a really big bone of contention, because it could be a really, really, really good game. A lot of people have said that. It's just held back from some of the ambiguous ruling that seems to happen in that game. But Adam Smith, along with a load of people in the Facebook group, are compiling a list together, an FAQ together, of what you would do in various scenarios, and that will be published at some point, I assume, on the Facebook group, because there is no Everrain site anymore. There was an Everrain site during its Kickstarter, however, the site's now been taken down, or maybe Adam Smith or somebody forgot to pay the hosting fee or something, but it's gone. It now just redirects to some random website about nothing really, a holding website basically. So it's gone, unfortunately. But going back to the Bloodborne FAQ, is I was watching somebody play through Bloodborne. One of them knew about the FAQ and was reading through it. The other person didn't, and it was so frustrating to watch, because watching them play it and go through the motions and come to an ambiguous rule and then go, how do I decide upon this? And then I'm there shouting at the screen at a pre-recorded video, the FAQ. Yeah, so it's actually really frustrating to watch Bloodborne, the board game content on YouTube, because it's literally a coin flip whether they know about the FAQ or not. If they're a Kickstarter and they backed it, they'll know about the FAQ because they were instrumental in the FAQ. But if you bought it since, you may not know about the FAQ, which is a little bit frustrating in a lot of ways. But yeah, really looking forward to the Bloodborne board game, because I've wanted either Dark Souls or Bloodborne. I've done the rest of Demon Souls board game. There might be a Demon Souls card game. I had wanted one of those for quite some time, so looking forward to that one. So yes, that's what's happening next month. I was also in talks with someone the other day on Facebook Marketplace that had a particular collection for a particular show. I'm not going to reveal much more than that. It's a British show, very British show, that's about to get not a renaissance, so to speak, but it's about to enter a golden age. There's a lot of YouTubers saying, "Oh, this show was going to enter a golden age soon." It's 3 syllables but 2 words. I'm not going to say much more than that. Playing charades with you guys, aren't I? But yes, a lot of them are Blu-ray in the set. A couple of the latter seasons are DVD, but that's fine. I'm actually really looking forward to grabbing this set. Along with the board games, it is going to be a little bit pricey next month, but it is my birthday as well, so hopefully some birthday money can offset some of the things. It was kind of accidental, not accidental in buying it, but I actually kind of called the seller out for how much they were charging for order bit. It's over £100, I don't mind saying that. And I was like, that's a lot of money for everything you're selling in here. And I looked up, there's like a season 1 to 7 set within there. I looked up on Amazon, eBay. It goes for £150 just by itself. So there's me going, okay then. So maybe the amount of money they're charging for everything, right up until season 11 of this particular show, then I was like, okay, maybe I was being a little bit too harsh on them. So I agreed to buy it, basically. I'm actually looking forward to it because it's been a while since I've had this show in my collection a few times, have sold it, gotten it back. I do have the first 4 series or seasons upstairs somewhere, but it'd be nice to have a lot of the seasons on Blu-ray and then have the latter season on DVD. However, the first, is it 3 or 4 seasons of the set, although they're on Blu-ray, they're not on HD. They're about to get a HD remaster because they weren't shot in HD. But they're about to get a HD remaster, or they weren't broadcast. I can't remember exactly what happened with that, but they're about to get a HD remaster. So there is that part, but I'm still going to look forward to all of those. So that's also happening next month. Also, this month, some stuff has been happening. So I went ahead and got Mortal Kombat 1. I went ahead and got the premium edition. Bit of a story behind the premium edition. So I was actually in talks with a Facebook Marketplace seller about this, and I said to him just before payday, would you be willing to hold on to it? He said, yep, no worries. I'm not going to be back home anyway because he was away for work. I'm not going to be back home before then anyway. So yeah, by all means, I'll hold on to it. I had a problem with my PayPal account. I actually had to take an afternoon off work to get it sorted. I couldn't log into it. So I had to call PayPal and basically get it all sorted. On the seller's Facebook, marketplace page, he did say, as long as you're willing to cover the fees, I will send it, I'll post it. Those are the PayPal's goods and services fees. Okay, so there's me thinking, right, okay, he's willing to pay he wants to use goods and services, which protects you and the seller against potential fraud. Fantastic. So I messaged him. I was messaging throughout the week saying, trying to get back access to my PayPal account. On the Thursday evening, payday was the Friday, and that's when I was going to transfer him the money. Said to him, I've got access to my PayPal account. I'll be able to pay through PayPal. He then came back and went, oh bugger. I went, what? He said, I've recently changed phones. Okay, so I've changed numbers. Okay, despite the fact that most people nowadays keep the same number when they switch phones. So that was a little bit of a red flag, I'm not going to lie. And he then said, I don't have access to my PayPal account because I can't verify it because I need to use my mobile number, despite the fact you can use email, you can get them to call you. There are other ways that you can use to verify your PayPal account. So whatever. And after a while, he basically turned around and said, "Stuff it, I'm just going to sell to someone locally. I don't have to deal with PayPal and posting it and all this stuff. I just, And I then said to him, "Thank you for taking me for a ride. Very nice of you," all that kind of stuff. He said, "Well, what do you mean? I just want to spend time with my family tonight. Surely you can understand that." And I just said, "Whatever. I don't care, to be honest, what you want to do or not want to do. I understand you've been away for a week from them, but he's taken me for a ride. You could have looked into this, within the week. So just because you're away doesn't mean you don't have some downtime or some free time." And it's funny that you only realise this on the Thursday evening. He then sent me another message a little bit later on saying, "Tomorrow I'll send you a secure link to pay via card." And I went, "Nah, stuff it. This is so many red flags." So I said no to him. And because of that, I really wanted the premium edition. He was actually selling it for a really good price, too good of a price, thinking back on it. Anyway, that was the premium edition. I wanted the premium edition. I found it in Smith's for £80. Yes, it is quite pricey. It's £90 everywhere else. When it's on Amazon, it's £75. But I wanted the premium edition because I wanted the DLC characters that are coming down the road. I wanted Shang Tsung, but he comes with every new copy of the game. Anyway, I just wanted some of the the Jean-Claude Van Damme Johnny skin. Anyway, this is bloody brilliant, to be honest. I completed the story very quickly. I'm now working my way through Invasions. Really, really good entry into the series. They seem to have elevated the skill ceiling, but made it a little bit better for newer people to get into the game. And the tutorial in this is bloody fantastic, I must say. It's really complex and it does ask you to do some interesting stuff in there, but really, really good. So, Mortal Kombat 1 Premium Edition, an absolute yes. So I was looking through Facebook Marketplace, as you haven't guessed, I do quite often, and this popped up. This popped up on one of the listings, and I was like, "Oh, sweet, for 20 quid. That's less than half price that it's currently going for, RRP. Yes, okay, it's all opened second hand, but the seller's played it once and got bored of it, basically wanted it out of his sight, so to speak. So yeah, 20 quid when there's people on Facebook still selling it for 30, 40 quid. Absolutely fantastic. I'm stuck at the moment a little bit, but I really didn't think I'd be enjoying Diablo 4 as much as I am. I know a lot of people have said it's a really good game. It looks really good, plays really good. The end game is actually really, really good. But all the microtransactions and the fact that the game was not very stable launch performance-wise, I was a little bit hesitant about some bits and bobs. But actually, it's a really, really solid action RPG, and I'm really enjoying playing it. If that wasn't enough, this was already on the listing. He threw this in as extra. This is Metro Exodus, which I'm really looking forward to. I haven't actually played it yet. Playing on my 4K TV because it has 4K assets and has HDR, ray tracing. You name it, it's got everything in it. And I've heard it looks really good in 4K. So I'm looking to checking that out on 4K. And if that wasn't enough, between me leaving work and then meeting up with him to get that, he threw this in for free as well. I already played this on Game Pass. To be honest, it's not personally my favourite Need for Speed game, if I'm being honest. But, hey, let's not, what's the expression? Look a gift horse in the mouth. So, yeah, Need for Speed Heat as well. So that's going to keep me a little bit busy when it comes to those three games. And as I'm recording this video, yesterday the Activision Blizzard King Microsoft deal went through. So Microsoft now formally own ABK. Yes, Activision Blizzard and King, which has caused a massive uproar on Twitter. I did not expect that uproar on Twitter. It caused a load of people to cheer and go, bloody hell, it's taken like 20 months. I saw an article the other day. And then it caused a load of people to just dig into Xbox. So during the FTC hearings and the CMA hearings and every other else that Phil Spencer's had to go through for the last 20 months, almost 2 years now, is one thing he said: without the Activision Blizzard, Microsoft, the gaming division of Microsoft, Xbox rather, could be dead by 2027. That was what he said. And there's a load of people now taking that out of context and saying that why would you spend 80 billion? Why is it now 80 billion? I just realised, what is it, 69 point whatever billion? Anyway, I saw that somebody said yesterday maybe it's increased by 11 billion in the meantime. I don't know. Anyway, why would you spend that amount of money on a purchase if... I forgot where I was going with this train of thought. I'll just take a swig of tea. Yeah, there's a lot of people saying, why would you spend that kind of money on an acquisition like this if you thought the brand was going to die in 4 years' time? I'm trying to think what the year is at the moment off the top of my head. I can see, reading the interview that Phil Spencer gave, he was basically saying that gaming at the moment is in a really weird state. You've got cloud gaming that's kind of emerging. You've got all these subscription services like Game Pass that are beginning to pop up, and people are using that way of playing games. People are still buying games. In fact, ever since Game Pass, and you can get 10% off if you buy a game and it's on Game Pass, sales are still really good at the moment. They're even better than they were even before Game Pass was a thing. So, but gaming's in a really weird transitional period at the moment, and he's basically saying that companies need to make some big moves, big strides to keep up, basically. Which is why PlayStation or Sony are really worried about what's going on with Xbox at the moment. The thing about Xbox, they've been in third place or last place, if you want to call it that way, for the last 2 generations, give or take. And the problem with it is Microsoft have so much money to throw around, hence the 70 to 80 billion they've just spent on this acquisition, and they've already bought a load of other studios over the last how many years. So it shows you how much money Microsoft have to throw around. And it scares Sony. Sony only recently got back in the black. So they don't have the money to throw around like Microsoft do. And even if Microsoft don't have the actual money to throw around, they could borrow it from many, many different places because their track history is so good. Whereas Sony would struggle because they've only just got back into the black. They were in the red for many, 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 many years. So, asking to borrow money to acquire a company to compete with Microsoft in that space isn't going to go very well for them. I don't think. I'm not an economist or financial advisor, but you know what I mean when I say that. So Microsoft are making some moves, shall we say. And what Phil Spencer meant when he said Xbox will be dead in 2027 is you need to think to the future. That's why they're making all these acquisitions. That's why they're doing everything that they're doing, is they're looking to the future. They're looking to where gaming is going rather than resting on their laurels necessarily, and they're trying to shake up the gaming industry. And the acquisition of Activision was a big goal. That's it, goal, stepping stone when it comes to that vision. And I think he was just being a bit candid, being a bit brutal, that they've got to make some big moves, and the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King is one of those moves. You know, to be honest, I don't think it would have died in 2027. I just think that it would have changed the zeitgeist and the general community, the gaming industry, sorry, would have changed at that point. But people on Twitter are taking out of context, and it seems to be everyone's piling in on Microsoft at the moment for some reason. I don't get it personally, but people be people at the end of the day. Anyway, this video has already been rather long as it is. Yeah, 25 minutes. So there you go. That's a TFC and a half for you guys to sift through at your pleasure. Anyway, until next time, guys, please take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Ta-ra.